Manx Radio Sport.
Just a minute and a half after 5 o'clock. Good evening. Welcome along to Saturday Sport Classified for Saturday, the 3rd of January 2026. Simon Quine with you here through until around about 6 o'clock this evening. Tony Mepham and Rob Pritchard joining me to have a look back at today's football action. We'll also have the draw for the Ecap FA Cup first round and the GH Corlett Woods Cup first round as well. We'll look back at the Railway Cup final, which of course took place on Boxing Day, and we'll see what else we can squeeze into the next few minutes. No hockey today, that returns next Saturday, and the two games with local rugby in the counties 3 ADM Lancashire and Cheshire that involves local teams were both postponed, so no Dave Christian joining us between now and 6 o'clock either. And we'll start off, as always, with today's classified results, and we begin with the Ecap FA Cup preliminary round. Douglas High School Old Boys 3, Ramsey 1, Union Mills 4, United 1, St John's United 5, Governors Athletic 0, Onken 4, St George's 0, Maloo 1, Rushden United 9, Douglas and District 1, Pulrose United 5. Foxdale against Colby was finished 4-2 after extra time, 4-2 to Colby, that is. Canada Life Men's Premier League, St Mary's 2, Laxey 1, Arden and Druggan Limited Division 2, Douglas Royal 2, Castletown 8. The game between Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys and Moran was postponed. Canada Life Combination 1, Peel 16, Union Mills 0, Corinthians 1, Ramsey 1, Rushden United 1, Braddon 3, and the game between Laxey and St Mary's was also postponed. Moving on to Arden and Druggan Limited Combination 2, Castletown against Michael United was postponed. We are awaiting a result from Governors Athletic against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. If you do know that, please let us know. 166 177 is the text number. We are having some technical issues with WhatsApp, so if you can text that to us, that would be great. And the final game in Arden and Druggan Limited Combination 2, Douglas Athletic 4, Colby 5, and joined by Tony Mepham and Rob Pritchard this evening. And first of all, Tony, before we get into today's action, it's the first sports show of 2026, and it seems like a good time to look back on the Railway Cup final, of course, taking place on the traditional Boxing Day. You were there covering that game for us, and another crown for Corinthians to take home.
Yeah, it was, and a great day as well for football, because great crowd, just under 800, and we just, the noise and everything from both sets of fans, and as you'd expect, Peel down in their droves. There's a lot of support for that club there, and Corinthians sort of slight underdogs after 2 weeks before that, getting hammered by Peel 5-0, so it was all for, I think, Corinthians to step up and try and take the game to Peel, and that's what they did, because, Sean Doyle with the goal, and absolutely fantastic strike, the way it was just thrown into his feet. He just turned. He didn't hit it with too much pace on it, to be fair. It was more direction, and it curled in, and into the net it went, and then sort of obviously Peel got a goal as well, and they just worked so hard, Peel, and you just thought to yourself, Corinthians aren't going to get sort of back into this. But then the touch off, the Corinthians forward, it was Josh Ridings, it was. And again, it was Sean Doyle that was involved, and, he just got the deftest of touches. But certainly Peel had their chances. They hit the woodwork twice, and it just sort of kept going. But, fair play to Corinthians. One or two sort of players back in. Nathan Little, one of them. He came back in, and also Sean Doyle, who'd come back from that long-term injury that he's been out. So, yeah, fantastic. Few beers after the game as well. And, one trophy in the bag. I think the league is going to be a tougher one. I think, Peel are slight favourites in that one. Now with the FA Cup, we'll see how the draw goes very shortly. And then the Hospital Cup at the end of it, so it's all to play for.
Well, Peel have had some bad luck over the last few years in the Railway Cup finals. At 4 consecutive runners-up medals, some of those players will have taken home in this competition. Yeah,
I think it was just one of them that, Ayr United came to the fore, didn't they? And they were so strong. And when you look at standout players in that era for them, like Jamie Callister, you've got Johnny Shields, you've got Sean Kelly, and then others around it. They were so hard to beat. But then as players have come out of that, and other players have joined Peel, joined Corinthians, joined Laxey, joined St Mary's, it's made them a lot stronger, and it's sort of a lot more open now. But it's just great to see, and I love the Boxing Day final, because I think everyone's had their Christmas Day. It's full on with the family and everything. and then it's sort of my time, if you like, football time. And with no sort of Premiership games on in the UK this year, I think it killed it a little bit, to be fair. Not for us, but just killed the day, because that's one thing you used to always do is, get up a little bit later, have some breakfast, then go down to the pub and watch the football and see how the ride took you, see how long you were going to stay at it. But no, it was really good, and it's pleasing for us with the crowd as well. And I think Rob might want to come into this one. I think it was thrown upon us with a little bit of pressure to try and get the semi-finals played ready for Boxing Day, and the way it was, the Wednesday night date was there, and I'm glad that both clubs agreed to play the semi-final. And I think, I don't know if Rob agrees, that maybe we've got to look at something like that for next season.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, especially when you can consider the fact, we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, about the weather disruption now compared to 12 months ago, and I think you reeled off stats of how many games have already been disrupted across the leagues over the last couple of months, and bearing that in mind, how much, the increase really in the amount of games that have had to be called off because of the conditions, you're left with much less wiggle room at around this time of year. And of course, things are starting to settle down over the festive period for a lot of people as well. So I suppose that would be the question. I guess you've almost asked it of me, so I can ask it of you. I mean, what other options are there? Because you don't want to end up in a situation like you did a couple of years ago as well, where you have to move it all the way to the end of the season where there's other cup competitions coming to a head. Well,
it is. I've seen the Railway Cup final being played. I remember Corinthians won it against St George's, and I think it was end of March, start of April. That's no good. It's gone. Mm-hmm. It is a big cup, and it's a massive competition, because you're going to have a good game, because you got the top four in the league at the halfway stage of the season. Now what we have to have a look at is whether we can play both semi-finals at the Bowl. Play one on the Wednesday, before the Boxing Day final, and one on the Wednesday before the second semi-final, which is doable. Obviously, we've got to pay for the venue and stuff like that, but that could be taken care of for the gate. But then you've got to look at the semi-final, which was Peel against Laxey at Peel. I don't want to sort of guess any figures that Peel took on the gate, and obviously Peel took in the kitchen as well with teas, coffees and pasties and that, but it'll be a few quid, so the club would lose out on that one. So it's one of them. Do we do the right thing for the club, or do we the right thing for the football? And the crowd that we had, Onken against Corinthians, was huge. It was a really good crowd for a semi-final, so it's food for thought for us. We've got to have a little think about it. But people are saying we need to tweak the things and change things. And I always thought a few years ago, and it might have been before your time, Rob, you might be able to remember it, we played the two Hospital Cup semi-finals at Ballafletcher, one on Douglas Rowe's pitch and one on Corinthians' pitch at the same time. And it was basically open house come in, and the money donations was given to, I think it was Craig Hartstrong Foundation. We tried it out, and we couldn't have asked for a better weather forecast for that day. It was absolutely brilliant. But then the sort of people who want to knock us come in and just said, well, you're taking money away from the club. So I get that.
But is there an argument on the other side, maybe, like if you look at that rearranged semi-final that did take place at the Bowl, raised hundreds of pounds for Craig's Hartstrong Foundation, is there an argument going forward that if it isn't, say, for a designated charity, which, like you say, has been done before, that if two clubs came to a neutral venue at, say, the Bowl for the semi-final, that the gate receipts would be split evenly between the two teams? Is that an option?
That probably is an option, but to be fair, yes, the clubs need money, but I know that certainly Onken, because the idea, Onken and Corinthians discussed it, and it was decided that the gate money would go to the Craig Hartstrong Foundation. A, Onken wanted it to go that way, and B, the connection with Craiglunt and Corinthians Football Club, and a lot of the charity organisers are involved in Corinthians Football Club. And to raise just under £600 is absolutely brilliant for the charity. But it wasn't that. It was something different, Rob, that I liked. It was a night game. It was quite an exciting game. It was to play for the spot of playing in the final on Boxing Day. And to have the amount of people that we had there, I really think we've got to consider it. But, we'll listen to the clubs, we'll listen to football, and see if maybe what we're going to be thinking about is the right way to be sort of going down the right pathway.
One thing you touched on there, Tony, as well, of course, there were no games in the UK on Boxing Day this year, certainly in the English Premier League. Do you think that had an impact on the crowd for the Railway Cup final? Because it was just shy of 800, was it, I think, when I saw the figures?
Just shy of 800. It was near enough the same number as last year, to be fair, okay, Simon. And what I wanted was, we actually had a designated person there with a clicker. so we could have an absolute spot on sort of crowd, because at times down there, gate receipts that we do, it's hard to get the actual numbers precise. But I think what it is that I've done it myself, and I don't mind saying it now, but when I was a young lad, Ray Adams was the vice president of the Isle of Man FA, and we used to always go around to Mark's mum and dad's, Mark Adams' mum and dad, which was Ray, and the Railway Cup would be in the hallway for him, and he'd be at the pub having a beer, and we'd actually fill the Railway Cup up with beer. Ray wasn't there, and
that's a big cup to fill.
We'd drink the beer and we'd have sandwiches and all that. And then Ray would come back and we'd clean the trophy up. There's no problem, but it was just a bit of fun. I wasn't involved with the FA now. I'd be shot if I did that now. But that's what it had on it. And we walked down, and then after the game was finished, then you go back to the pub in mass and watch the Premiership scores, or it wasn't Premiership then, it was First Division scores, to come through. So, yeah, it's all about times and occasions, but Christmas time's a good sporty time, isn't it? Especially Boxing Day, where there's all this amount of football going on, but this year, just one game.
Great. OK, well, let's move on to today's fixtures then, the Ecap FA Cup preliminary round. And first of all, Rob, we'll start off with the game you went to for us, which was Malou against Russian. And it was a big win for Russian this afternoon, their Southern derby.
It was indeed, and you just wondered, I think Malou will have come into this with plenty of optimism as well, because they came into this, only played 3 times at home all season to this point, but they'd won all 3 of those games, and of course had that big cup upset beating Russian in this competition 3 years ago as well. So they'll have had some hope and some optimism going into it, but Russian United absolutely ruthless finishing in front of goal. But the scoreline doesn't reflect absolutely everything, because Malou, at the start, in the opening stages of the first and second period, were very competitive, particularly in the opening 15 minutes of the game itself. It was quite cagey to start with, but then 16th minute is when it changed. Russian United just found that little bit of quality. Ball down the right-hand side into Cameron Dudley, squared it into Aaron Hawley, who just knocked it in off the post and into the far corner. And that's where, unfortunately from Malou's perspective at least, the proverbial floodgates opened a little bit as well. They had another 7 minutes later. Jamie Cadwallader this time in on the left edge of the box. He squared it to Aaron Hawley, who then just poked it in from point blank range. That all after just a little bit of a poor back pass from Jacob Chadwick of Malou, was looking towards Nathan Berry just behind him as well. Just couldn't quite get the weighting on it right, and Russian United punished them. Then there were more goals to come. Cadwallader, he got 2 himself, first curling one into the far corner from the edge of the penalty area. Very good finish indeed after some great work from Joe Kelly out on the left hand side. Then a bit of fortune for his second one. Had plenty of space on the edge of the penalty area, drilled his shot towards goal, took a massive deflection off Craig Cowan of Malou, which just seemed to wrong foot Malou goalkeeper Jay Gandy, and it ended up nestling in the back of the net. Just after Russian United got their fourth, Malou had their biggest chance of the first half. Brandon Krippner, in an outstanding strike from around 20 yards, came crashing off the crossbar, but not to be, and Russian United punished them again before half-time. They broke from a Malou corner down the left-hand side. It was Lachlan Denham having to do a lot of work, waiting for reinforcements to arrive for what seemed like an eternity, and one of those eventually was Matt Lamb. He just squared it to him right on the edge of the box on the right hand side of him, and he just placed it into the bottom corner. And Malou, big mountain to climb on home soil going into the second 45 minutes, I should say, but they came out with a great deal of spirit, and they actually started the better of the two teams in the second period despite this big challenge. The likes of Paul Whitley and Dan Thirlwell both drew great saves out of Dean Kearns, but again, Russian United, just with the chances they had, they just could not be stopped today. Star in terms of goal scoring in the second half was Lachlan Denham. He got a hat-trick, uninterrupted hat-trick, which put Russian United 8 goals up, and then into the final 10 minutes, Malou, as a bit of a reward, I guess, for some of their fighting spirit during the game, they did manage to get themselves a consolation. It was well worked as well between Adam Pate and Danny Bailey down the left-hand side between the two of them, culminating Danny Bailey just sweeping it across the box, and substitute Kieran Douglas sliding in between the two centre-halves, just got the most deft of touches to take it in off the post and into the far corner. But Russian United, right towards the end, around the 86th minute, managed to restore that 8-goal cushion. Again, it was Lachlan Denham who was at the heart of everything this time, popping up on the left edge of the box. He drilled it towards goal. Good save from Jay Gandy initially, but it just fell straight into the path of substitute Luke Roberts, who just from about 1 or 2 yards out just tapped it into an empty net. So Russian United, a big win from them. Bit of a statement, I suppose, from them, particularly in terms of their goal scoring as well. And then from Malou's side of things, I would hope that they can take heart from the fact that actually in a lot of areas, particularly in the midfield, they were competitive. They were in there to battle, and that's exactly what they did. It was just Russian United's quality in front of goal, that superior finishing, that really was the edge between the two teams, and it does show on the scoreline.
Great, thanks very much, Rob. So rush and progress into the hat for the Ecap FA Cup first round draw, which we will do very shortly. I've had a complete mind blank, Tony. I've forgotten what game you were at. I think it was Old Boys against Ramsey, is that right?
It was at Old Boys because I was being sneaky. I checked with Rob and he knew what I was doing. I wanted to be close to Blackberry Lane because from Blackberry Lane to Ballafletcher because the two top teams in Combination 1 were playing each other, so I wanted to get there quickly. And I'm glad I went to Blackberry Lane because All Boys against Ramsey, it wasn't the greatest to start off with, but once it got going, it wasn't too bad. And probably the turning point was Lex Johnson for Old Boys. It was 0-0 at this time, and Lex got sent off. He'd been booked earlier, and then the second booking obviously means a red card and he's off, so Old Boys are down to 10. So you just think that Ramsey are just going to bulldoze through the door and just take this result, but it didn't go that way. And tidy little player. I've noticed him a couple of times. I've watched him, Dave Wilson, and certainly today he's grown in stature over the last year or so since I first saw him, and tricky little player, and he got the first one. Good finish by him, and Old Boys are suddenly on the run. And then Ramsey scored just before half time. Matthew Jauncey it was who got this goal, and Sam Holliday stood no chance really, because just inside the box, and Matthew's a strong player, and when he hit it, the goalkeeper went to the left hand side but couldn't connect with it, and suddenly it's 1-1. So it's a different conversation you're having at half time in a large crowd. But then once the second one went in for Old Boys early on in the start of the second half, which, remembering they're down to 10, Simon, was incredible, and Zach Watterson got that goal. And I don't know what held it together for Old Boys. I think Martin King at the back certainly was one of them, and Drew Ward, the pair of them, there was no sort of space at all to try and wiggle through. And Ramsey were very limited in chances, and I think it was when they brought Ayres and Tom Chattel on in the second half, they just tried to open things up, and they had a little bit more. But then one of Old Boys' top players, and what's he now? He's still playing under 18, so he'd be just about 18 now, Cameron Brew, and a lot of people rate him highly because he was in the FC Isle of Man squad initially, and then he was also in the Ireland squad initially. But whether it was for him or not, I don't know, but you can see that he's got it. And he finished off the third one, belting goal, and selfishly played through to him on the right-hand side, put it past the keeper to make it 3-1, and Old Boys won it. Ramsey maybe had a couple of chances. I think they hit the bar in the sort of start of the second half, but it just didn't happen for them. And I know myself and Rob were very, very sort of gracious towards Ramsey last season, because they had a great season, winning the cup, and also just the way they played. But at the moment, it just seems to have deserted them, and they don't have a goalkeeper. I'm not saying that Liam Cooper didn't do well today, because he did well, but you need a number one that, when you need something special, you've got someone in there. So it's, Ramsey are out. So, they'll be disappointed with that one. But Old Boys, that gives them a massive lift. And I think the comment was, if only that was a league game, because those 3 points could be the difference between us playing Premier League next year and not. So we'll wait and see. And credit to the boys up there as well. They've started the extension of the clubhouse as well. And hopefully there's a press room in there, because it was bitterly cold up there today, but it's Old Boys that got through to the next round.
Okay, we move on then to what's probably the upset of this round. I'll bring you both in on this one. Union Mills 4, Ayr United 1, so the holders knocked out in the preliminary round. Yeah,
I think I'll give some meat to the bones on this one for Rob, because Ayr United had Jamie Callister sent off. Whether it was a straight red, I'm not too sure, but that could prove costly for Ayr United, because with Sean Kelly playing for FC Isle of Man now, and sort of Jamie out of it, that's going to put Ayr United under pressure. I don't think they'd be involved in relegation, but it shows when you lose your main centre-back and your captain to concede 4 goals. Ayr United would have expected to beat Union Mills today, but Ryan Kelly's been in touch with the manager and said that they played really well. He's given me a couple of names that stood out for him today, which is always important to make sure that your guys step up, and Tyler Hughes is one of those. He's so tricky on that left hand side, and Titus Craig as well were excellent. And Titus has been in America on one of these scholarships, and he's done really well because he was a Douglas Royal player, and then he's been out there, and I know Mum's so proud of him, I should say. But I don't know who scored the goals. Ryan, if you could text me through, please, 166 177. But we're happy with the result, and Union Mills go into the draw, which we'll do very shortly.
I think as well, looking with their United, Tony, you mentioned a couple of names there with Sean Kelly moving into the FC Alaman set for the last couple of weeks, and Jamie Collister as well as as the captain as well, that leader at the back as well. It's not just that he'll provide some stability, but he's popped up over the last few seasons with some very crucial goals in big games as well. So maybe when push comes to shove, and Ayr United have needed those points over the last couple of years, he's one of the men that you've turned to almost over the last couple of seasons as well. And from a Union Mills side of things, I watched them a few weeks ago against Russian United in the league at Gary Moore as well. That game ended 1-1. Russian United got a late equaliser to level things up. I remember watching Union Mills that particular game, particularly going forward at times, particularly in the first half of that game. Russian United were really struggling to deal with the way they were working. The likes of Dominic McCarry-Brennan and Carl Joran as well, dropping into those, deep forward midfield positions, if you like, was causing problems. Tyler Hughes, who you've mentioned already. And I just wonder what the enigma code is with Union Mills at the moment, how to find that little bit of consistency. Of course, now Luke Booth being a regular in the FC Salaman setup, that's going to be a miss up top as well. But it's clear that they do have the firepower in there, and they do have the capabilities, but it's that $1 million question, I think. Consistency over a longer period of time.
I think that's what's frustrated Ryan, to be honest with you, because I spoke to him a few times about it. And last year they were absolutely brilliant. But I think Nathan Yates and certainly Owen Quayle need to be a partnership at the back. Nathan missed at the start. No one's been missing a little bit as well. But you just got to keep sort of chipping away and let the younger players come through and hopefully develop. There's one or two sort of players been missing in midfield, and you've just got to sort of try and cover them places that are causing you a problem with some other players, maybe from the combination. But maybe the thing that might help Ayr is I believe Johnny Shields is back in training. Now, if they can talk Johnny into playing, I remember Johnny said he was done, he was whatever, but he's back in training, which sort of helps him. With one or two, Ben Fox has been doing well for the team, coming in and scoring goals as well. If they can get them, it'll help things. But the big one is, how are they going to cover Jamie while Jamie's suspension is in place? That's going to be a tough one.
And I just had noted here to say that red card for Jamie Collister was for denial of a goal scoring opportunity. Right. That red card in the game.
Yep.
That'll have, obviously, will that roll into the league, that suspension?
Yes.
Roll into league games, that one,
Yep.
yeah. Okay, move on to the next fixture then, the Ecap FA Cup preliminary round. St John's United 5, Governors Athletic 0.
Yeah, and just shows you that Ryan's listening, because he's just come through. Titus Craig's got 2, Tyler Hughes got 1, and we've just mentioned him. Owen Quayle got the goal for Union Mills, and Happy New Year to you, Ryan. It was Chris Duggan who got the goal for Ayr United. So Chris has started scoring because he got one recently in another game as well. So Ayr United have got a few issues to deal with at the moment.
St John's 5, Governors Athletic 0.
I haven't got any goal scorers, so thanks to Governors Athletic for putting the score through, but obviously they wouldn't have known St John's goal scorer, so if someone's listening, 166 177.
Okay, Onchan 4, St George's 0.
Yeah, and this one would be interesting because we got a match report on this one, how it went, because I kept waiting from 1:15. I thought my phone's going to ring shortly because there's going to be a goal in, but I think Onchan must have found it a bit of a struggle at the start against St George's, and I've got a match report in, so we'll see what Paul made of it. Both teams started strong, and it took Onchan 25 minutes to break St George's down, with Onchan's James Carush, who this morning wasn't playing. James had an injury, but he must have chose to start, scoring with a melee in the box, but St George's didn't give up and went in at half-time 1-0 down. And both teams came back out for the second half strong, and it took Onchan up to 70 minutes to double their lead, with Conor Dawson slotting in for 5 minutes later. Tom Creer then made it 3-0 on the 80th minute. Onchan was awarded a penalty, upsets Ethan Levers, the golden boy at the moment, only to hit the post, but Onchan wasn't finished yet, as on the 88th minute Onchan made 4-0 with Lucas Watterson powering past Johnson. Final score, Onchan 4, St George's 0. Well done to St George's, good effort, and thanks to Paul there for putting that report together for us.
Fantastic. Okay, move on to our penultimate game in the FA Cup today. Douglas and District 1, Pulrose United 5. I've got Pulrose scorers just come through, actually.
I've got them as well.
Have you got them
we'll
there,
check them. I'll let you mention them.
Okay, I've got Joe Canoper with 2, Owen Canoper with 1, Brian Lowther and Declan McKay as the 5.
Yep. I can give you the times as well, because the first one was scored by Brian Lowther after 20 minutes. Then Declan McKay made it 2-0 on 31. 2-0 it was at half time. Ryan Gilbert got the one for Douglas and District. We'll come back to that one in a minute. But then in the last 11 minutes, Pulrose ran riot. Owen Canoper got one from the penalty spot on 79. Joe Canoper got a goal as well on 83. And Declan McKay it was got the other one. And just looking at this on a D&D perspective, half-time was 2-0. Close game until the last 10 to 15 minutes, and D&D gifted them the first 2 goals. Fullback Ryan Gilbert scored a screamer of a free kick to make it 2-1 with his first goal for the club, so well done to Ryan. Check out our socials to see it. It's an absolute belter. Good luck to Pulrose in the next round. That's nice.
Okay, and the final game. This is perhaps a bit of a measure for Colby, of course, promotion chasing Colby in Division 2. They did beat Foxdale 4-2 after extra time, but 2-2 after 90 minutes. I imagine Foxdale were quite pleased with that. They held on there.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Colby took the lead. I'm going to guess that it was Carl Hickey, but J.E. Chatwood got one of the goals for Foxdale. Don't know who got the second, but it was Foxdale must have equalised just before the 90th minute, because I heard it was 2-1 to Colby, near enough done, job all over, and then Foxdale must have scored 2-2 and it goes into extra time. So Steve Collister got his name on the score sheet, Jack Skillicorn got one, and James Galloway got the other. So good result for Colby, as you say, puts them in a place where they might fancy their chances in the Premier League. And it was quite interesting. I saw a comment over the Christmas period that a G up from the committee, if you like, from Colby, saying, come on, boys, we can do this. We can get promoted and back in the big flight. And when you look at it, it was only a few years ago, Rob, where they were really struggling for 2 teams. And here we are. They won the combination year before last. And then when you look at them now, they're absolutely neck and neck with Castletown at the top of the table, and it'll be interesting to see if these 2 get promoted.
All right, Tony, Rob, thank you very much. Before we move on to the results from the rest of today's games, let's do the draw for the Ecap FA Cup first round. And hopefully, unlike WhatsApp, the technology is not going to let me down on the phone. And we should be joined on the line, I would imagine, by very shortly by Carl Conroy from Ecap. And hopefully Carl can join me on the line there. Carl, good evening. I believe you're out having a bite to eat this evening. We've interrupted your evening out ahead of the darts, have we?
Not quite interrupted. We're a sponsor, so we want to do everything we can for the FA, of course. But no, always on the move and always working. So no, glad to be joining you, and looking forward to a good draw.
All right, Carl, thank you very much, as always, for joining us on the programme. Tony, we are looking for the first round then of the Ecap FA Cup. How's the draw going to work?
Right, Carl's done this before, so there's no problem with it. Carl, once again, a massive thank you to you, Brooke Longhurst, and also Dan Collier for, the sponsorship. It's so valuable to Manx football, and the FA Cup is the big one for Easter Saturday, and now we've got the prelim round out of the way. Carl has got 16 balls there with him. He doesn't know the team numbers, so he can make the draw. We've got the teams in front of us, myself and Rob. And Carl, if you could do us the honours, please, and start the draw.
Yeah, of course. So first number out, we have number 16.
Number 16 is a home game for Union Mills.
Union Mills, and they're going to be playing number 3.
Number 3, Colby. There's another test for Colby.
Next out, we have number 2.
Number 2 is Castletown, who won today.
And they are playing number 4.
And number 4 is Corinthians.
Okay. And next out, we have number 15.
Number 15 is St Mary's. So at the bowl.
And they're going to be playing number 6.
Number 6 is Douglas Royal.
Douglas Royal, okay. Next out, we've got number 7.
Number 7 is Laxey.
Laxey, we're going to be playing Number 1.
And number 1 is Braddon.
Braddon. Next out we've got number 10.
Number 10, leading the Premiership at the moment, Peel. Or should I say second?
They're going to be playing number 11.
And number 11 is Pulrose.
Rose. Next out we've got number 8.
Number 8 is a home tie for Moran.
Playing number 13.
And number 13 is Russian.
Okay.
Two more
Next
games
out we've got
left.
number 5.
Number 5, the winners today against Ramsey, Douglas High School Old Boys.
And they're going to be playing number 9.
And number 9 is Onken, so not too far to travel for Onken.
And we have got this right, so I've got 2 left.
Yep.
And out first, so the home team is number 12.
And number 12 is Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys.
And they've got number 14.
And number 14 is St John's. Right, we'll go through that tie before we just have a little chat with Carl. Right, the first one out of the hat this evening was Union Mills will play at home against Colby. Castletown against Corinthians. St Mary's will play Douglas Royal. Laxey against Braddon. Peel with a home tie against Pulrose. Moran against Russian. Douglas High School Old Boys against Onken. And Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys against St John's. Now, Simon, we can't say to Carl who's going to win here, but what we can ask him is who's going to win the darts tonight, because we know he's a darts fan.
Oh, I'm not a massive one. Well, I do enjoy it. I'm fancying lately, being honest with you. But yeah, I'm going to go out and have a little chuff myself somewhere around town. Bit of a bite to eat at Just Pizza Pasta or somewhere, and yeah, I'm going to back Littler for the win, I think.
Top man. Thank you once again, and to you, yourself, Brooke and Dan. And these ties will be played, I think it's the Saturday the 1st of February, and we'll speak to you on the 1st of February.
All the best. Thanks for taking these,
man.
boys.
Great.
Cheers.
Thanks, Carl.
Bye.
Okay, so that's the first draw of the evening done. That was the Ecap FA Cup first round draw. We'll recap that again a little bit later on in the programme. We do also have the GH Corlett Woods Cup draw to do a bit later on. Before we do that, let's go through the remainder of today's fixtures. Just a handful of league games left on. There were a few postponements here, but we'll start off in the Canada Life Men's Premier League, and again bring you both in on these, because it was St Mary's who came out on top against Laxey, 2-1 winners. Yeah,
it's a good result that for St Mary's, and Ed Canner again on the score sheet for Laxey, but they couldn't do the job. It was Therese Thompson who got one for St Mary's. I'm not too sure who got the other one, but Rob, we've said it ourselves just before Christmas that St Mary's are one of those teams that are probably going to have a say where this league is going to go.
They've been slowly creeping up, haven't they? It was a bit of, I suppose, an indifferent start is probably the best way to put it, but they've just started. They seem to have just been picking up pace just a little bit here and there, picking up some notable results. And I think that is given the season that Laxey have had as well, who've been impressive. We've both been impressed by them, I know, so far this season. To be picking up 3 points against that Laxey team is pretty impressive going, I would say. And I think it also kind of fits into where they are in the table at the moment, because after that result, that means Laxey in third on 25 points. St Mary's now slotting just behind them on 24 points, albeit having played 2 games more. And St Mary's moving above Russian United and Onken as well. So St Mary's 1 point clear of Russian United, who have played 13, and Onken have played 13. So they're getting into, obviously I can't speak on behalf of the club, but I imagine, Tony, where they would want and probably expect to be in this table at the moment.
Yeah, I think Alex Harrison, the manager at the start of the season, expected them to be there or thereabouts. And as you rightly say, the start of the season wasn't particularly good. But since then, they've put it together, had some really good performances. And, I watched them at the bowl against Onken, and they just caught Onken on a bad day, as in Onken were tremendous. But, they could compete when you look at the players that they've got around them. Mark Wolfenden, Therese Thompson, like he's played for the Combi today. But, good players in there. Defensively, I think... since Carl Clark's gone into FC Isle of Man, they've been able to cover that really well. Josh Evans has done a great job, and Josh is one of those people that people have a giggle with him because he's that type of person. He's a funny guy, but actually he's done a mustard job at the back, and they've just been able to keep chipping away. And I think when they come against Corinthians and come against Peel, because they've got to play them again, it's going to be a huge game, because you just feel at the moment that Laxey aren't quite on it with losing to Peel in the semi-final, and then sort of the last couple of results that they've had. It's been a bit of a struggle for them, but we've got another glut of fixtures to come, and hopefully the weather improves and we get a good run on them.
And on the Laxey side of things, we've seen this over the last couple of seasons. I'm sure it's not a trend they'll like us reminding them of sometimes, but they've had blistering starts. We've seen all that attacking potential especially, but it just seems to have faltered in the second half of seasons over the last couple of years. And of course we could be completely proven wrong this time around. There is a very long way to go, and as well I know you've picked out Ed Canner as well, who's been one of the stars in front of goal this season in not just the Canada Life Men's Premier League but in Manx football so far over the last few weeks as well. So it's that tough job of just trying to recapture what got them that start to the season, because you see it at all levels of football as well, don't you, that these breaks, if you like, over the festive period for a lot of teams are a benefit to some, but almost a detriment to others.
It is, and I think the one I watched was the semi-final when they played Peel. I just thought defensively they were all over the show. Cameron Avery got injured in the warm-up, and that was proved costly, and just a few mistakes by the players. But when you've got the players that they've got, you Brodie Patience in there, Charlie Robinson, you ask them to sort of step up. And I had a good chat with Johnny Palmer over the Christmas period, and just said, "You've done so well this year, Johnny. What's it about?" He said, "We've just clicked." But now they sort of have gone through this little bit of a struggle, and maybe a few weeks ago we would have said St Mary's against Laxey. Well, Laxey going to win this, but another defeat today has cost them, and to me now, when they look at the league table, it's not going to happen for them.
It's going to be tough against the likes of Corinthians and Peel, who not just have that quality but are known for their consistency as well. And up until this season, maybe the United as well always found ways to win as well. But I also noticed, just from a personal standpoint with Laxey, they had quite a few comings and goings in terms of players over the last couple of years. Maybe just now they're starting to figure out yes, there will be injuries and suspensions and the like along the way, but maybe Johnny Palmer there has found a bit more of a set foundation for the players that he's got there. And yes, it's defeat today, which no doubt be disappointing, but there's a long way to go in the season still. And with the teams around them as well, the likes of St Mary's, the likes of Russian, the likes of Onken as well, what better motivation to try and move yourselves clear of that clamouring pack around you than to, I suppose, just kind of get your head down, back to work, and see what they can achieve over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I agree, but the goalkeeper's been a pick for me. He's only, 17, Pickering, and I think he's been absolutely brilliant. So he's got a bright future. I know that FC Alemanni's been training with them, so watch your space. We'll keep you posted what happens.
Okay, we'll move on to just the one game in Ardnern Drug Unlimited Division 2. There was a postponement between Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys and Marown. The game did go ahead. It was Douglas Royal 2, Castletown 8. That sees Castletown move to the top of Ardnern Drug Unlimited Division 2 in the absence of Colby playing in the league this weekend. And it's getting close and tight at the top of the table between these two now, isn't it? Chopping and changing every week potentially as things stand. Yeah,
I think it's going to happen, and what a signing Ross Crawford was just... not too long ago. I think it was November he signed for them from Ramsey Youth Centre. Alex Crawley, his strike partner, he got a couple of goals today. Ross got the 3. Charlie Quirk, Rob Tier, who I've said it before, I'll say it again, cleaned up at the trophy with trophies from last year's dinner. Brilliant player, that's Mark's son. And Tom Moore as well comes in with goals. So yeah, Castletown are going really well, but them against Colby, they've got league games to play. I think they've only played them once, so they've got to play each other 2 more times. I've done the fixtures for the 31st of January now, so we'll get them out on Monday and wait and see how they go. But yeah, they can't afford to lose them ones, and it's nice that Castletown at one stage, Rob, weren't they? They were running away with it. We thought, when's this going to end? But now Colby have pegged them back. Castletown lost their first game against Pulley, and suddenly now they're feeling the heat from Colby.
And with the quality that Castletown have, I think we discussed this over the last season or two as well, is that, but by their standards in Division 2, there was a bit of a frustrating end to both campaigns. They believed themselves to be worthy of being at the sharp end, but it just hasn't quite worked out for them. And now we've got a great southern battle going on up there, but there is one other team that I think could disrupt it down the line. I'll come to that maybe at some other point. But no, it has been, those two have been virtually inseparable since day one at the start of the season as well. And you look at that now, Castletown at the top, 34 points after 13. Colby in second on 32 after 13. Next nearest on 13 is Ramsey St Albans, 22 points, so 10 points off the pace of Colby. That's not the team in particular that I'm keeping an eye on just at the moment, but it just shows the consistency they both have, and clearly not just picking up the results, but the confidence that'll be bringing them as well. And I know we'll discuss the FA Cup first round draw as well, but I'm quite intrigued to see how both those teams get on in those two fixtures. I think one of them in particular, they'll really fancy the chances.
Yeah, and I think that team you're thinking about, I won't mention it because you're holding it back for some reason. I think they actually play Castletown next week.
Yeah, so might as well put some context on it now. But I'm really keeping an eye out for Marown this season because going into today, of course, their game today was postponed as well. But fifth in the table, 19 points. So they're 13 points off the pace of Colby, but they have 4 games in hand on the top 3 teams. So if they were to win all those games in hand, and that is also assuming that Castletown and Colby don't slip somewhere as well, they'd just be 1 point off the pace of Colby. So don't rule out Marown just yet.
Okay, let's move on to...
I agree.
Canada Life Combination 1. This is the second game you went to today, Tony. I remember this one at Ballafletcher. You went up to, after you'd been to the Cup game, went up to see Corinthians against Ramsey, and it finished 1-1.
Yeah, I went up, and when I got there, to me it was more Corinthians had to win or draw than if Ramsey sort of won it, then I think that was it, job done, even though at this early stage of the season. And Ryan Kelly scored about a minute before half-time to make it 1-0 to Ramsey. When I got there, which was probably 5 minutes or so into the second half, Corinthians, it wasn't happening for them. Ramsey were playing really well. Ramsey had 2 or 3 really good chances, but the turning point was Ramsey had a player sent off, and referee Anthony Quayle, straight red I think it was, and they're down to 10. But Ramsey, you didn't notice, it was just like old boys. They just kept chipping away, and then suddenly Ramsey went down to 9 because a player got sin-binned with about 12 minutes on the clock. So he thought, well, that's him out of the game now. And Corinthians still couldn't get it past the goalkeeper, past the defence. They had plenty of chances, it didn't happen. And then Sammy Corkle, who's home from university at the moment, and I had a great view of it. I was just stood right behind him, and you could just see the gap opened up. The goalkeeper went to the right-hand side. Sammy left-footed on the left side of the pitch. Hit it so well. It was across the deck, and the goalkeeper was caught out, and into the net it went. So 1-1. From what I saw, maybe Corinthians led a charmed life, but it keeps the league wide open now because it's those two. Peel today, with that result they've had as well, it's wide open at the top of Combi 1.
We haven't mentioned that Peel result, have we? Finished Peel 16, Union Mills 0.
How long have you got? And you're a Peel fan, so it's a good day for you, and it's a good day for George Taylor, because George got 3. Well done, George. Hope you got a nice Christmas present off your dad. Jason Chalmer, coming back from injury, he got 3. Scott Horn as well, couple of goals. He sort of missed out on the final on Boxing Day because he'd been away before. Toby Little got 2. Dan Pickering in the combination today got a couple of goals. Aaron Costain with 2 as well. And Harry Pack, who's home from, I think, university as well, got a goal in that as well. So terrific result for Peel. They've had a score like that already this year, and Union Mills licking their wounds, and saw one of the best teams in Combination 1.
The next game, the game between Rush United and Braddon, I've got conflicting scores on this. I had it as 3-1 to Braddon. We've had a message in to say it actually finished 4-1 to Russian, although Braddon were 1-0 up at half-time.
You're spot on, Simon. It's unfortunately it's been put on full-time incorrectly by someone, not by the FA. So it finished up 4-1 to Russian. I was surprised when I saw that one. But with that result, Russian still keep the pressure on Corinthians, Peel, and Ramsey at the top of the table. But I think the defeat against Corinthians has probably cost them a little bit. But today against Braddon, 4-1 winners, haven't got the scorers.
It was Ryan Edwards who scored for Braddon in the first half.
Okay.
I know that much. Laxey St Mary's was postponed, and that means we move on to Arden and Druggen Limited Combination 2. Castletown against Michael United was postponed. We're still awaiting a result for Governors Athletic against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, if you do have that. Oh,
got
Tony's
it.
got that. Okay.
Governors Athletic 1, Ramsey Centre 6. Thanks to Keith Lithgow for putting the score through. Ramsey Centre probably the only team I think who can catch Pulley the way they're flying at the moment in the Combination 2. But Jamie Brew with 1. Mike Nixon, you'll be sore on Monday, Mike. It's always day 2 when the pain sets in, so well done to you. Aaron Broad, Evan Johnston got 1. Martin Murphy and Edgar David, I've got here, or could be David, sorry, it's Martin Edgar and Murphy David. I was going to say Edgar David. Where's he come from? Holland.
Some headline signing at the start of January.
Was, yeah.
I know he played for Barnet for a bit. But
Cracking result for Ramsey Youth Centre, and Edgar David with the headband and everything as well.
And on that note, we'll move on to the final game of the day, which sounds like it may have been the match of the day, judging by the scoreline. Douglas Athletic 4, Colby 5.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And, Colby will be delighted with that one because Douglas Athletic high flying in combination 2, and Jack Fordham was the star. He got a hat-trick. Kieran Smith got one, and Egan Ludgate got the other one. I think that's Jimmy's son. So well done, Eden, and good result for Colby there.
Great, okay, thank you very much. Then let's first of all, before we move on to the GH Corlett Woods Cup draw, I'm aware time is ticking away here, let's just first of all get some reaction from both of you to the FA Cup first round draw that we did earlier on with Carl from Ecap. Just run through that again and get your initial reaction to the fixtures that came out the hat. First of all, it was Union Mills against Colby.
This is my personal pick of the ties for a couple of reasons. First off, from the Union Mills side of things, again, just going back to the conversation we had before, if they can tap in to that potential they've got there, and when they're on their day, Union Mills can really trouble a lot of those teams in the Canada Life Men's Premier League. However, if maybe they have an off day, as many teams do, and you look at that Colby side again, full of confidence at the moment in Division 2, win over Foxdale today in the Cup as well, this could be set up for, I think, a really intriguing contest. That one, that's the pick of the ties for me.
That's the one you'll be hoping to go to then.
Potentially, yes.
Castletown against Corinthians, top of Division 2, taking on top of the Canada Life Premier League as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, and this will be a great pointer for Castletown where they are, because I think, I'll be honest, I didn't expect Castletown to be, top of Division 2 at the Christmas stage of the 25-26 season, but that's the case, and I think, when I look at, the players that they've got in there, the young players, they're only going to get better, and Gary Sansbury must be chuffed to bits with that. What a great venue to have a game of football as well, down at Castletown Stadium. And, Corinthians with Sean Dole back fit, Luke Murray's looking sharp. And then when you look at the younger players coming through, Ryan Nelson, and you've also got Connor Clark and Declan Blake, they're really strong, and the old hands at the back, Darren Kane and Stewie Smith, were immense on Boxing Day, but you'd expect Corinthians to win that.
And we move on to St Mary's against Douglas Royal, talking today about how well St Mary's have done with that result against Laxey. They get rewarded with a tie against Douglas Royal in the Cup. Yeah,
and I'm struggling to see past St Mary's on this one again, just going back to the fact that they just seem to have hit their stride a little bit, and I'm sure Douglas Royal will go there with absolutely every bit of fight that they've got in them in this one as well. But St Mary's on home turf as well. One thing they're very good at as well is utilising that big pitch at the ball and that artificial surface. It is a little bit different to play on. Yes, those Douglas Royal players will be familiar with that, more than familiar with that in some cases. But yeah, hard to see past St Mary's in this one.
Okay, and Laxey against Bradham.
You've got to go for Laxey. I know they both play in the Premiership, and I think Bradham, I know they're down near the bottom of the league, but I think that they're too good to go down. I think the young players that they've got in there are good, and signing Liam Sale just before the sort of deadline day has been a big plus for them, and we'll see how Liam progresses into that team. But you have to go for Laxey. I think Johnny Palmer's team will be too strong.
And Premier League Fulham Premier League Peel. I tried to put too many P's in that sentence, so we'll try again. Peel against Paul Rose. Let's just do it the simple way.
Yeah, again, Peel. I mean, they're obviously looking to put that disappointment with the Railway Cup behind them, and I would very much back them to do that over the course of not just the next couple of weeks, but the rest of the season. I'd be enormously surprised if they let things slip. They obviously, they hold themselves to high standards, as you would expect a club like Peel too. Paul Rose United, I think they'll relish this test. If they don't feel the pressure at the moment, obviously they want to be pushing up Division 2, but if they're somewhere off the pace of Castletown and Colby as they are right now, this could be a real chance to, I suppose, express themselves a little bit in a game like that. But even with that in mind, though, again, can't really see past Peel, particularly at home.
Okay, Rob, this is the team that you were watching for in Division 2. You mentioned that earlier on, and it's Marown, and they get a chance to test themselves against Premier League opposition as well, and with a draw against Rusham.
Yeah, and while I do fancy them to be in the mix in Division 2, I think this is looking like a tough one against Rushden United, particularly off the base of what I saw today as well. Rushden United as well. Once that attacking line of Rushden United starts to click into gear, they can cause all sorts of problems. And when I looked at the way they were playing, I mean, Lachlan Denham was unstoppable in the second half today. Had bagged a hat-trick, could have had more as well. Aaron Hawley clinical in front of goal as well. The likes of Cameron Dudley and Matt Lamb as well, helping to marshal that midfield. From around a little bit, I suppose, a bit like Colby away to Uni Mills. I think this could be a good barometer if they are going to be in the mix to get themselves back in the top flight. But I just think Rushden United, particularly with the quality going forward, should just have enough.
And Old Boys against Onken. You saw Old Boys in action today against Ramsey. Tony impressed with them, especially going down to 10 men. Do you think they'll be looking forward to the challenge taking on Onken?
Yeah, definitely. They've got a lot of young players coming through, and theirs is just survival in the league. But, Onken, I said from the start of the season to Rob that they've impressed me so much. And, OK, at the moment, they did really well against Corinthians in the semi-final, but experience shone through. But going forward, Andy Asbridge, you've got Tom Creer, you've got Ethan Levers, excellent. Now that you've got James Crush sort of fittish, he's a big plus for them. Once Josh Kenyett comes back into the team, he'll strengthen it as well. And Patrick Riley has stood out for me, but you can't forget the two Dawson boys. And Callum, he's not the tallest of goalkeepers, but my word, I saw enough in the semi-final to say that he's one of the best on the island. And because he can play football as well, he does have a tendency to save with his feet, and he trolleys these balls around, pinging them everywhere. So it's a real joy to watch. But I think Onken should just beat Old Boys.
And the final game out of the hat was Ramsey Youth Centre Old Boys against St John's United, and a chance for Youthy to test themselves again, like we've said with some other teams against Premier League opposition. Definitely,
but I wouldn't want to play St John's at the moment because I think their team is probably the strongest it's been, and it's interesting just to see where they go with it. And Browner, when he picks his team, is going to find it difficult going forward. They're absolutely amazing. You got Paul Whitehead. You've also got Callum Taggart in there, and then Dean Lees on that right hand side. But defensively, depends where Sam Ingham is with things. Andrew Chadwick's done well in midfield, sort of. The big problem for them is who's going to play in goals for them. If the goalkeeper's not available and they haven't got anyone else to bring in. But I think, St John's should be able to beat Ramsey Youth Centre. But again, it's great to see Division 2 sides against Premiership sides because they get a taste of what it could be like if they got into the Premier League.
I'd have been intrigued if this draw had been made this time last year, because Ramsey Youth Centre and All Boys were right up there, right in the mix for much of that Division 2 campaign, and St John's again had maybe had a bit of a stop-start in the first half of last season as well. If this draw had been made this time last year, I'd have maybe a little part of me would have seen a Ramsey Centre and All Boys upset here. But again, just going back off Tony's saying today, and obviously they were comprehensive and professional win today by the looks of it against Governors Athletics, getting the job done. I think it swings it in St John's favour.
Yeah. Okay, very quickly before we run out of time, because I've got to run next door. Another programme at 6 o'clock. Let's do the GH Corlett Woods Cup first round draw. And Tony, if you could just take us through the details of this draw that Rob's going to do for us.
Certainly is, and it's for the Division 2 sides. It's the first round is on the 17th of Jan. Very sad on this one is GH Corlett have been a major sponsor for Manx football for a long time. And everyone knows Gary and Pauline have done a wonderful job. Sometimes you need something to be done, engraving, trophies, whatever, and Gary and Pauline always came up trumps for it. Unfortunately, Pauline isn't with us any longer. Our thoughts are with you, Gary, and the family. It's a tough time just to lose your wife and your mum just before Christmas, but Pauline, I've known her for a long time. I sort of grew up with her. Great lady, always helpful, will be sadly missed, but they are our sponsors. We have to crack on with the draw. So we've got the Division 2 sides here. There's 10 teams in it. Rob's really excited. He wants to, when he found out he was doing the draw, I
don't get this opportunity off him. I'm usually on the side of the desk where Simon's sitting.
Exactly, you're enjoying the relaxation. Simon's having to do the buttons. So there's 10 teams in there. We need to lose 2, so we want 2 games. So we need 4 teams out of the hat.
The first number out is number 10.
And number 10 is St George's.
They will have a home tie against number 1.
And number 1 is Castletown.
Number 7.
And number 7 is Moran. The last one.
Number 2.
And number 2 is Colby. And you drew that one out. So the 2 games that we've got, these will be played on the 17th of Jan. Don't panic. You will look at the fixtures and it's a full programme. We will juggle the games. We have to do this because some of the games we can get on. But the first one out of the hat that Rob drew was St George's against Castletown. And then the second fixture, what a tie that is, Moran against Colby.
Okay, between the both of you, very quickly, give me 30 seconds reaction to that draw.
Go on, Rob, first.
Just right now, got to back the 2 southern sides, Castletown and Colby, but could be proven wrong. Like I say, I do think Moran will be in the mix at some point.
I'm not going to follow suit with you, Rob. I'm going for Castletown and Moran. There you are. You're not speaking to me now.
I've got no counter argument for that. Moran have got themselves a good opportunity. I do agree. I think that'll be a cracking game, Moran versus Colby.
Are we having a pint in this?
Oh, that's an ultimatum to put me to on air. What if I just pause long enough that the programme runs out and Simon has to run into the other room?
I say that's very clever.
All right, Tony, Rob, thank you very much for joining me this evening. The details of both those cup draws will be on the Manx Radio website and Manx Radio Sports social media pages. Hopefully back with a slightly fuller Saturday Sport Classified next week with Ben Cunningham and Dave Christian both in attendance to look at rugby and hockey. But thank you again for joining us, and we will now hand you back to this evening's Manx Radio Gold.